You're in the middle of something completely unrelated. Working, eating, trying to sleep. And then, without warning, they appear. Not physically, just in your head. Their voice, their face. Something they said 3 weeks ago, maybe 3 years ago. And no matter what you do, you can't make it stop. You've tried distracting yourself. You've tried logic. You've told yourself to move on, let go, get over it. But the thoughts keep coming back, like a door you can't stop opening. Here's what nobody tells you. This has nothing to do with how much you love them. It has nothing to do with weakness. And it has absolutely nothing to do with them being special. What's happening inside your brain is something far more primal, far more mechanical, and far darker than you've been led to believe. Welcome to MindShade. Today, we go inside the psychology of obsessive thought. Why certain people hijack your mind. How your brain gets trapped in a loop it wasn't designed to escape. And what's really happening beneath the surface when you can't stop thinking about someone. Stay until the end, because the last section will change how you see this completely. Let's start with something that might be uncomfortable to hear. The reason you can't stop thinking about someone is almost never about them. It's about your brain. Specifically, it's about an incomplete loop. The human brain is a pattern completion machine. Its entire purpose, evolutionarily speaking, is to take incomplete information and resolve it. Finish it. Close it. When something remains unresolved, an unanswered question, an unexplained behavior, an ending that never came, the brain doesn't file it away and move on. It keeps returning to it, over and over, searching for the resolution it never got. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik Effect, named after Soviet psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, who discovered in the 1920s that people remember unfinished tasks significantly better than completed ones. Waiters remember every order on an open table. The moment the bill is paid, they forget everything. Your brain works exactly the same way. The person you can't stop thinking about, they are an open table. Something between you was never resolved. A conversation that ended wrong. A relationship that had no real closure. A person who left without explanation. Someone who made you feel something you never fully understood. Your brain isn't obsessing over them because they matter more than everything else. Your brain is obsessing over them because it is trying, desperately, to close a loop that never closed. And here's the dark part. It might never close. Because the resolution your brain is searching for doesn't exist. Now let's go deeper. Because the Zeigarnik Effect explains why the thoughts stop. But dopamine explains why they won't stop. Dopamine is one of the most misunderstood chemicals in the human brain. Most people think it's the pleasure chemical, the thing that fires when something feels good. That's not quite right. Dopamine doesn't fire when you get the reward. It fires in anticipation of the reward. It fires in the chase. And this is where it gets dangerous. When you were around this person, or when the relationship was alive, your brain was releasing dopamine in response to them. Their attention, their approval, their presence, the unpredictability of how they made you feel. And then they were gone. But the dopamine pathway your brain built around them, that stayed. Now your brain is doing something neurologically similar to addiction. It is chasing a hit of something it was trained to want, from a source that no longer exists. Every time you think about them, your brain is firing that pathway again. Not because it's getting what it wants, but because the wanting itself has become the habit. This is why thinking about them can feel almost pleasurable even when it's painful. This is why you find yourself scrolling through old messages, replaying conversations, imagining scenarios that will never happen. You are not weak. You are not pathetic. You are chemically hooked on a person the same way a gambler is hooked on a slot machine that no longer pays out. The machine is broken. but the hand keeps pulling the lever. Here's the question that really matters. Out of every person you've ever met, why this one? Why not someone else? Why does your brain keep returning to this specific person and not the dozens of others who have passed through your life? The answer lies in something called emotional imprinting. Your brain doesn't attach to people randomly. It attaches to people who trigger something deep, something pre-existing inside you that was already there long before they arrived. Sometimes it's a wound from childhood that this person accidentally touched. Sometimes it's a pattern from a past relationship that feels familiar, even if it's painful. Sometimes it's the fact that this person gave you something, validation, excitement, safety, chaos, that you had been unconsciously searching for. The intensity of the attachment is almost never proportional to the length of time you knew them. You can know someone for 3 weeks and be unable to stop thinking about them for 3 years. You can be with someone for a decade and move on in months. What determines the grip is not time. It's how deeply they touch something that was already unresolved inside you. This is why the people we can't stop thinking about are almost never random. They are mirror. They reflect something back at us, about our wounds, our patterns, our unmet needs, that we haven't yet been able to face directly. The obsession isn't really about them. It was never about them. It's about what they represent to the unhealed parts of you. We need to talk about something most psychology videos won't touch. Because obsessive thought isn't always about someone you love. Sometimes it's about someone you hate, someone who hurt you, someone who humiliated you, an enemy, a rival, a person who wronged you years ago. And you think about them just as much, maybe more, than anyone you've ever loved. This is called rumination, the repetitive, intrusive replaying of negative experiences, and it operates on the exact same neurological loop as romantic obsession. The brain cannot tell the difference between someone it loves and someone it hates when it comes to obsessive thought. Both are unresolved. Both are emotionally charged. Both keep the loop open. This is why people who were wrong decades ago still rehearse arguments in the shower. Why victims of narcissistic abuse spend more mental energy on their abuser after leaving than during the relationship. Why we lie awake at night composing perfect responses to people who insulted us years ago. The brain isn't loyal to love. It's loyal to intensity. Whoever made you feel the most, good or bad, gets the most real estate in your mind. And they stay there, rent-free, for as long as the loop remains open. Understanding this is the first step to evicting them. There's one more layer to this, and it's the one most people find hardest to accept. The reason certain people grip your mind so completely often comes down to your attachment style. Attachment theory, developed by psychologist John Bowlby, proposes that the way we bonded with our caregivers in early childhood creates a template, a subconscious blueprint, for how we connect with people for the rest of our lives. There are 4 main styles, but 2 of them are particularly relevant here. Anxious attachment, people who grew up in environments where love was inconsistent or unpredictable. Affection was sometimes there, sometimes withdrawn. These individuals grow up with a nervous system that is hyper-tuned to the threat of abandonment. They become addicted to reassurance. And when someone they're attached to pulls away, the obsessive thinking doesn't just start. It floods everything. Fearful avoidant attachment, people who desperately want connection but are simultaneously terrified of it. They are drawn to people who are emotionally unavailable, because unavailability feels familiar, safe, in a twisted way. And when that unavailable person gives them even a small amount of attention, the dopamine hit is catastrophic, because it was so rare. Does either of these sound familiar? Because if the person you can't stop thinking about was emotionally inconsistent, hot and cold, present then absent, loving then indifferent, your brain wasn't just responding to them. It was responding to a pattern it has known since before you could speak. And that is a much older, much deeper wound than any one person could have created. So, how do you stop? First, understand that trying to suppress the thoughts directly does not work. Psychological research consistently shows that thought suppression, actively telling yourself not to think about something, increases the frequency of that thought. This is called the rebound effect, and it's why just stop thinking about them is the worst advice anyone can give you. What actually works is different. Step 1. Name the loop. The moment you catch yourself in the thought cycle, don't fight it. Name it. Say to yourself, this is the loop. That act of labeling activates the prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, and begins to weaken the emotional grip of the thought. Step 2. Find the open table. Ask yourself honestly, what is unresolved? What question does your brain keep trying to answer? What closure is it searching for? Because once you identify the actual wound, not the person, but the wound, you can begin to address it directly, without needing them to do anything. Step 3. Interrupt the dopamine cycle. Every time you scroll their profile, reread old messages, or replay conversations, you are feeding the loop. You are giving your brain a micro hit that resets the craving. The only way to break a dopamine cycle is to stop feeding it entirely, not reduce it. Stop it. Step 4. Redirect the intensity. Your brain has proven it can obsess. That is a form of focus, misdirected, but real. Channel that same intensity into something that builds you. Creation, fitness, a goal. Give your brain a new loop to close, one that actually pays you back. Step 5. Consider what they represent. This is the hardest one. Sit with the question, what did this person give me or take from me that I haven't found or healed elsewhere? Because the answer to that question is not about them. It is the map to the part of yourself that still needs attention. The goal is not to forget them. The goal is to close the table. The person you can't stop thinking about did not put themselves in your head. Your brain put them there. Because something between you or something inside you was never finished. And now you know what that something is. You are not obsessed because you are weak. You are not obsessed because they are special. You are obsessed because you are human, and your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. The difference now is you can see the mechanism. And once you can see it, you can start to dismantle it. If this video made you think of someone specific, share it with them. Or share it with someone who needs to hear this right now. Subscribe to MindShade for new videos every Tuesday and Friday. We go where most people are afraid to look, because understanding the dark is the only way to protect yourself from it. Remember, understand the mind. Survive the world.